Madison Clark had always believed that life, like a well-curated boutique display, was arranged by a series of carefully chosen details. On one seemingly ordinary day at her upscale boutique nestled on a bustling downtown street, fate decided to rearrange everything, sometimes in the most painful ways imaginable. While helping a longtime customer, Mrs. Thompson, select the perfect scarf from a new shipment, Madison's phone buzzed with a message that would forever alter the rhythm of her life. A single text glowed on her screen. "I'm leaving you, Madison. I'm moving to Miami with Jenna. I've emptied our joint account." The words, terse yet devastating, hit her with an unexpected calm. There was no trembling voice, no quivering lip, just a measured, icy clarity that belied the heartbreak inside. In that moment, while Mrs. Thompson admired the boutique's signature silver wrapping paper, Madison felt the quiet surge of resolve. She set aside the customer's purchase with deliberate care and retreated behind the counter to craft a reply. With steady fingers and a mind sharpened by months of silent observation, she typed a succinct "good luck" and signed off with her name. Madison knew, as did everyone who believed in the power of forethought, that sometimes the best response was not a cry of anguish but a quiet nod to one's own strength. For months, the warning signs had whispered their secrets. Late nights spent alone in the back office, countless discrepancies in Brad's soon-to-be ex-husband's bank deposits, sudden password changes on his phone, and his newfound obsession with gym routines and expensive wardrobe choices had all painted a picture of a man desperately chasing lost youth. Madison had discovered a dinner receipt from an upscale restaurant on a night Brad had insisted he was working late, and a week later, when he proposed merging their bank accounts for simplicity, she had agreed with a light heart. Only she had secretly transferred her personal savings to a separate account and meticulously documented every questionable transaction. That joint account, now emptied to a precise amount meant to avoid suspicion, was just one piece of Brad's grand escape plan. As the day unfolded, Madison's phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from Brad. His tone was smug, his words taunting. "Don't bother begging, Tiffany and I leave tomorrow. I'll send for my things later," read one message. Brad had introduced Tiffany, his new office receptionist whom he'd charmed at last year's company Christmas party, as part of his plan, complete with exaggerated accounts of how together they made him feel. Madison, however, would not be baited. Instead, she contacted her lawyer, Mr. Reynolds, the trusted advisor she had consulted when the first hotel charges mysteriously appeared on their shared credit card statement. In the quiet of her elegantly decorated office, Madison reread every message from Brad, the one where he casually noted his grand exit, the one where he boasted about using the joint card to book flights and a luxurious hotel stay at a renowned resort in Miami, all while laughing off his betrayal as a parting gift. With each notification, Madison meticulously saved screenshots, building an impregnable case against the man who had once claimed to love her. In her mind, every detail of his duplicity was transformed into ammunition for a battle that would expose his calculated cruelty. The following day, as Madison arranged a new window display for her boutique, a shop she had built from scratch, independent and fiercely successful, she listened to another call from Carol, Brad's embittered mother. Carol recounted how Brad had confided in her about feeling smothered by Madison's coldness and controlling nature. It was almost laughable, in a bitter twist of irony, that the very woman who had nurtured her own business from nothing had been painted as the villain in his narrative. With a wry smile and a heart that had long learned the art of quiet revenge, Madison reassured Carol that some things were better left as painful memories and that her boutique, her sanctuary, was a testament to her resilience. Days turned into weeks as the legal proceedings commenced. In a courtroom charged with tension and quiet retribution, Mr. Reynolds presented a mountain of evidence, texts where Brad's gloating tone admitted to emptying their account, credit card transactions that painted a damning picture of financial mismanagement, and detailed records of every dubious expense he had incurred over the past year. Brad's defense, feeble and fumbling, tried to cast his actions as a misguided attempt at a clean break. But the judge, an astute and no-nonsense figure, was unmoved. "You admitted to deliberately emptying our joint account and using shared funds to fund a vacation with your girlfriend," the judge pronounced, his voice echoing the gravity of the situation. "All shared assets will be frozen until a fair dissolution is reached." In the courtroom's sterile light, Brad's smug facade crumbled into a pitiful display of desperation. Even as he clutched his phone, now bombarded with frantic texts from him decrying the cancellations of flights and hotel bookings, Madison's calm presence filled the room. Every carefully organized document and every screenshot of Brad's digital confessions served as a reminder that meticulous preparation was a silent but potent form of strength. The judge's final decree left Brad with little more than his personal possessions and a car that was, by all accounts, worth less than the debt he'd accumulated. In contrast, Madison retained the house her grandmother had bequeathed to her and the thriving business that had become her life's masterpiece. Even after the courtroom drama, Brad's attempts at manipulation continued. He sent one last text, "You think you're so smart, Madison? Half of that boutique is mine." Madison forwarded the message to Mr. Reynolds with a dry chuckle and a shake of her head. In her mind, Brad's bluster was as empty as the joint account he had so recklessly drained. That evening, as she poured herself a glass of her finest wine, the kind reserved only for significant victories, she savored not only the rich flavor but the knowledge that her careful records had sealed Brad's fate. He had tried to destroy her, but in doing so, he had inadvertently paved the way for her rebirth. The following morning, as the boutique prepared for its busiest day of the week, Madison methodically reviewed her daily operations. The store buzzed with energy and the soft murmur of loyal customers. Among them was a young entrepreneur, a wide-eyed woman named Danielle, who had come in to inquire about the new line of designer handbags. "Your shop isn't just a business," Danielle confided in a hushed tone. "It's a statement, a declaration that you won't let anyone else write your story." Madison smiled, recalling the day when Brad's self-assured texts had tried to dictate the ending of her life. Now, every piece of evidence, every signed contract, and every perfectly arranged display was a testament to the fact that the best revenge was living well. In the weeks and months that followed, the boutique's reputation soared. Local business magazines clamored for interviews with the remarkable woman who had turned personal betrayal into an inspiring tale of grit and ingenuity. Articles appeared with headlines like "The Rise of Madison Clark," "From Heartbreak to High Fashion," and "How One Woman Outsmarted Her Ex and Built an Empire." Every interview, every article, was a subtle reminder to those who doubted her that when life throws a painful twist, sometimes it's best to channel that energy into something beautiful. Madison's business acumen was rivaled only by her uncanny ability to empathize with other women facing similar challenges. She began hosting free workshops on financial independence and the importance of keeping personal and business finances separate, a lesson she had learned the hard way. One such workshop was held in a renovated warehouse that had once been a relic of industrial decay but was now a vibrant hub of creativity and empowerment. The room buzzed with animated conversation and laughter as participants swapped stories, shared advice, and celebrated their own small victories. Madison recounted her journey with unflinching honesty, sprinkling in light-hearted quips about Brad's outdated wardrobe and his feeble attempts at mimicking the slang of a younger generation. "He really thought those designer jeans would make him look hip," she would joke, sending the crowd into fits of laughter. As the months rolled by, Madison found herself not only thriving in business but also opening her heart to the possibility of new love and genuine friendship. Late one summer evening, after closing the boutique to host an intimate gathering for a select group of longtime supporters and friends, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the store's large, ornate mirror. In that moment, she saw more than just a woman who had weathered a storm. She saw a phoenix rising from the ashes of betrayal, a symbol of quiet strength and resolute determination. The soft strains of jazz played in the background, a subtle nod to the soulful resilience of American culture, and she realized that her journey was far from over. It was evolving into a narrative of hope and endless possibility. Brad, on the other hand, seemed destined to spiral further into self-destruction. His once carefully orchestrated plan had backfired spectacularly. In a series of increasingly desperate moves, he tried to claim that the boutique was partly his idea, citing vague memories of contributing moral support during its early days. His lawyer's attempts to salvage his reputation were met with pointed counterarguments by Mr. Reynolds, who methodically dismantled every flimsy claim with evidence that spoke for itself. Meanwhile, Brad's personal life continued to unravel. His new girlfriend, Jenna, whose youthful exuberance had once promised a glamorous escape, soon found herself disillusioned by his erratic behavior and financial instability. Social media posts that had once portrayed their adventures in Miami began to reveal a more stark reality, a reality in which Brad's grand plans had collapsed into a string of missed opportunities and bitter regrets. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Madison was busy organizing a shipment of limited edition accessories, her phone buzzed with an unexpected message from a longtime friend, Susan. "I just heard Brad's sister, Emily, is openly laughing about his latest fiasco. Even his own family is done with him." Susan's message was laced with a mix of schadenfreude and pity, a sentiment Madison had come to expect in the aftermath of Brad's spectacular downfall. Rather than revel in his misery, however, Madison took the news as yet another confirmation that her decision to safeguard her interests had been the right one. She replied with a wry remark about how well Brad's great escape had turned into a cautionary tale for anyone foolish enough to underestimate the power of preparation. Yet, even as she relished her hard-won success, Madison never lost sight of the deeper emotional journey that had brought her to this point. There were quiet nights when memories of the life she'd once shared with Brad would creep in, glimpses of laughter, whispered promises, and dreams that had once seemed so bright. But those memories, tinged with both love and sorrow, only served to reinforce her determination to build something new and lasting. In one reflective moment, she recalled the first time she had walked into the boutique as a young woman, full of hope and ambition, with a spark in her eyes and dreams too big to contain. That spark had dimmed when betrayal struck, but in its place, a more resilient flame had been lit, one that burned with the fierce passion of a woman who had reclaimed her destiny. Madison's transformation was not just personal, it rippled through every corner of her life and business. Inspired by her own story, she began mentoring young entrepreneurs who sought to balance their creative aspirations with practical financial wisdom. One particular mentee, a bright and determined woman named Rachel, reminded Madison so much of her younger self. Rachel's eyes shone with determination as she asked, "How do you protect yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart?" Madison's answer was both simple and profound: trust your instincts, keep your records straight, and never let anyone convince you that you're not enough. This mantra, repeated at every workshop and seminar, resonated deeply with women across the community. It was a message of empowerment, a declaration that every setback could be transformed into a stepping stone toward a brighter future. As the seasons changed and the boutique expanded its reach from a single storefront to a burgeoning business empire, Madison found herself invited to speak at women's business conferences. At one such conference, held in a modern convention center filled with the hum of ambition and innovation, she took the stage with a magnetic presence. The audience, a diverse mix of startup founders, creative professionals, and seasoned executives, listened intently as she recounted her journey from betrayal to triumph. Her narrative was punctuated by humor-wry observations about Brad's desperate attempts to cling to a fading youth and by cultural references that resonated with the American spirit of reinvention. "We're not defined by the mistakes we make," she declared, "but by the strength we muster to rebuild from them." The applause that followed was not just for her success, but for the raw honesty and vulnerability she displayed in sharing her story. Even as her business continued to flourish, Madison never lost sight of the personal cost of her hard-won freedom. In quiet moments after long days at the boutique, she would find herself gazing out at the city lights, contemplating the paradox of loss and gain. There was a bittersweet beauty in the knowledge that every painful goodbye had paved the way for new beginnings. The once crushing weight of Brad's betrayal had gradually lifted, replaced by a profound sense of self-worth and an unwavering commitment to living life on her own terms. In those moments, the distant echo of a cruel text message, once a symbol of betrayal, transformed into a reminder of her resilience and the extraordinary strength that had carried her through the darkest hours. Brad's downfall, as dramatic as it had been, became a cautionary tale whispered among business circles and family gatherings alike. Friends and acquaintances recounted his missteps with a mix of disbelief and grim amusement. His mother, Carol, who had once scolded Madison for being too unyielding, eventually reached out not to bemoan his failures, but to express gratitude for the lessons learned. "You taught us all that enabling bad behavior only prolongs the inevitable," Carol admitted during one terse phone call. It was a quiet acknowledgement that, sometimes, tough love and unyielding standards were the only paths to true redemption. As the boutique's influence spread, Madison diversified her empire further. A new line of luxury accessories was launched, drawing inspiration from vintage American designs and modern minimalist aesthetics. Collaborations with local artisans and even a few well-known celebrities added a sparkle of glamour to the brand. High-profile interviews, glossy magazine spreads, and even a cameo on a popular daytime talk show cemented her reputation as not just a savvy businesswoman but as a symbol of American resilience and reinvention. The boutique had grown into a community, a place where every item on the shelf told a story of survival, ambition, and the indomitable human spirit. In the midst of this whirlwind success, Madison occasionally encountered reminders of her former life. A chance meeting in a quaint coffee shop with an old friend, a cryptic message from a former colleague of Brad's, even a misplaced pair of designer sunglasses that she recalled Brad once coveted, all these served as fleeting reminders that the past, however painful, had shaped her into who she was today. But rather than wallow in nostalgia, Madison used these moments to reinforce her belief in the future. Every setback had been a stepping stone, every heartbreak a lesson in disguise. And as she moved forward, she did so with the fierce conviction that no man's betrayal could ever diminish the light within her. The final act of this transformative journey arrived during the grand opening of her flagship store, a culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and quiet defiance. The event was nothing short of a celebration of resilience. Elegant string lights, a live band playing a soulful medley of classic American tunes, and heartfelt toasts from loyal customers and business partners filled the evening with an atmosphere of jubilation and reflection. Standing on a polished marble stage, Madison addressed the crowd with a blend of humor and heartfelt sincerity. "When life tried to rewrite my story with betrayal and heartbreak," she said, pausing for effect as the crowd hushed, "I chose to write my own ending, a tale of triumph, growth, and the relentless pursuit of dreams." The applause that followed was thunderous, a resonant affirmation that her journey had not only transformed her life but had also inspired countless others to reclaim their own narratives. In the quiet moments after the celebration, as the last of the guests departed and the city's neon glow bathed the empty storefront, Madison allowed herself a rare moment of introspection. There, in the stillness of the night, she gazed at a framed screenshot that had once been the cruel emblem of Brad's betrayal, a final text message boasting of his victory. Now, it hung in her office not as a scar, but as a symbol of how far she had come. It was a testament to the fact that sometimes, the best revenge wasn't about tearing someone down, it was about building something so beautiful, so strong, that the echoes of past pain only served to highlight one's resilience. Madison's story, woven from threads of heartbreak and triumph, resonated far beyond the walls of her boutique. It became a modern American parable, a reminder that even when life seems to be spiraling out of control, the courage to stand firm and the wisdom to protect one's passions can lead to extraordinary rebirth. As she prepared for another day of turning challenges into opportunities, she smiled softly at the thought of the future, a future where every setback was a setup for a comeback, where every scar was a medal of honor, and where the light of one's inner strength shone brighter than any betrayal ever could. And so, the journey continued. Madison Clark's boutique, once a humble shop on a busy street, had transformed into an empire built on the promise of renewal and the power of self-belief. Her story became a beacon for anyone who had ever been wronged, a living, breathing example of the American spirit, resilient, resourceful, and unapologetically bold. In every carefully arranged display, in every product that carried the boutique's signature silver wrapping paper, lay the message that life, even after the deepest betrayal, was an opportunity to rebuild, reinvent, and reclaim one's destiny. For Madison, the end of one chapter was merely the beginning of another, each page filled with the rich tapestry of experience, laughter, and the quiet, persistent pulse of hope. And as she locked up her boutique each night, the city's skyline shimmering in the distance, she knew that no matter what lay ahead, she had already crafted a story that would live on in the hearts of all who believed that true success was measured not by the absence of pain, but by the courage to rise, rebuild, and shine again. This is just one chapter in the sweeping narrative of Madison's life, a saga of shattered dreams, relentless perseverance, and ultimately, a triumph that redefined her world. Her journey reminds us all that sometimes, the harshest endings pave the way for the most brilliant new beginnings, and that every hurt, every betrayal, is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. As you follow Madison's story from the moment the fateful text arrived to the triumphant grand opening of her flagship store, you will find yourself immersed in a world where every detail matters, every setback is a lesson, and every victory is hard-earned. The cadence of her narrative, interwoven with humor, cultural nods to modern America, and a dash of wry irony, creates an unforgettable tapestry of emotion. It is a story that lingers long after the final line is read, echoing in the hearts of those who have ever been broken only to rise again, stronger and more brilliant than ever. Madison's legacy is now etched in every corner of her empire, a constant reminder that while life may sometimes leave you with scars, it also offers the chance to forge new paths and embrace the beauty of reinvention. Her journey, marked by a bold defiance in the face of betrayal and an unyielding commitment to self-reliance, continues to inspire anyone who dares to dream big, even when the odds are stacked against them. In the end, Madison Clark's story is not just about the end of a marriage or the shattering of a financial illusion. It is about the triumph of the human spirit, the kind that refuses to be defined by the failures of the past and instead chooses to write a future that is brighter, bolder, and undeniably its own. And so, as the neon lights of the city flicker on and the soft hum of midnight promises fills the air, one thing remains certain: true success is born not of what you lose, but of how magnificently you rise from the ashes. May this story of heartbreak turned into triumph serve as a beacon for all those who dare to dream and a reminder that every ending can be the start of something extraordinary. Enjoy every line, savor every twist, and remember that in the tapestry of life, even the darkest threads contribute to a masterpiece of resilience and hope.